This conference will now be recorded.
And I am going to blank myself out, and I'll let the moderators get on with the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Great.
Send in your rude notes as usual if need be.
Thank you.
All right, so now we can have fun. No.
Yeah.
Topic of conversation.
Yeah, so this is it's like he's leaving. It's like, let's start the meeting, and I'm like starting to yawn. I was saying, yeah, that's not a good way to start said meeting. So,
But we did talk about having trouble sleeping.
I was gonna say with the trouble sleeping, because for the most part, I don't have trouble falling asleep, but if I wake up in the middle of the night, I can't get back to sleep. And then I don't, and they say, oh, you should get up and just do things. And I'm like, then I'll be up for the day, So I don't know what,
I had talked with one of my doctors when I was having an issue with that too. And gosh, I'm trying to remember what he called it. Maybe one of you remembers, but it was the getting up and getting out of bed and actually doing something and like just keeping sleep in your bedroom. Because I would like journal in bed and that was keeping my mind busy. But it was essentially just like turning all of that off. It was like some sort of cleansing thing with sleeping, and it's totally escaping me what it is.
Yeah.
so it probably doesn't help that we'll go to bed and watch TV and fall asleep watching the TV and then get up and turn off the light.
Probably not. Yeah, actually, when we moved into this house, we used to have a TV in our bedroom. I told my husband, I was like, I can't have it. I'm such a light sleeper anyway. I can't do it.
We actually had a sleep doctor come and give a lecture at our meeting at our newest EMS Center here in Tulsa. And that's exactly what he said. He said, no, nothing electronic in the room, not even an alarm clock because of that glow. Everything out. No TV, no iPad. I'm bad at that. Nothing. Take it all out.
Yeah, I did. I switched to like a hardcover paperback book instead of reading my Kindle before I go to bed now.
But then you have to turn the light on.
Yeah.
Or you can't see it.
Yeah.
But I've been sleeping in my den on the couch because it's so much darker in there, and my husband has the fan on every night. I noticed that was kind of making me wake up a lot. And so since I moved to the den to sleep, I've been sleeping all night long. It's great.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So
How tough is that for you then, Frank? If you're like when because you're traveling, you're not home. I mean, and for I guess then for everybody, I mean, when you travel, how hard is it to sleep when you're traveling?
I spent 8 months sleeping underneath the catapults of an aircraft carrier in a war zone. I can sleep anywhere. Okay. And in fact, my sister and brother-in-law for Christmas 2 years ago got me a blanket with 14 pictures of me sleeping in the recliner. And it's, different shirt. There I am, sound asleep. I can sleep anywhere, anytime. Just say the word.
I'm right with you, Frank. So Dan and Carly, I don't know. Kim, did you say how sleep is for you? Are you a pretty good sleeper?
Well, I've always gone through phases, even before MS, where I have cycles where I couldn't get enough sleep, and I have cycles where I couldn't sleep at all. I remember in high school, I was complaining to my mom, and she didn't believe me, and she walked in my room at like 2 a.m. I'm like, "Hey, Mom, how's it going?" She's like, "You're awake?" I'm like, "Yeah, I told you I was gonna sleep." So, I don't know. I don't remember having as hard of a time sleeping in college, especially the second go, but I've always, usually in college, you get the really boring textbook out and you start reading it. And I know if my eyes get tired, I tend to sleep. So I try to read a book before I go to bed, a paper book. And a lot of times that helps, but it doesn't always work. I think it's something that's frustrating. Like there's nothing concrete that works. And I'll have problems with falling asleep, or like last night I fell asleep fine, but then 3 hours I was awake. I was in bed for a while. I'm like, forget this, I'll get up, do some stuff, and that didn't help me fall asleep. And then it's just like I was just up for the rest of the time, like whatever. So I don't know. But my mom has problems sleeping. I think it's health problems. And I was trying to remember, like, I think my grandma had a problem. Like, am I doing with something genetic, like involved here? Something that's going on that's just making me just weird with the sleep. And it's like you try to come up with different sleep hygienes, different routines, something get at work, and sometimes it helps, and then like you do the same thing another night, like nothing, doesn't do a darn thing. And I also have the problem of the temperature issue. So like Saturday night, I was chilled. I could not fall asleep because I was so cold. And it didn't matter that I had a hat on, a sweatshirt on, pants on. I was cold. Under down comforter, I was still just so chilled. And it's really weird to deal with like the
You need an
temperature
electric
issue.
blanket. You need
No,
an
I've done
electric
that.
blanket.
I've had electric blanket on with a heating pad, with the down comforter, with multiple blankets, with flannel sheets. Yeah, my husband gets really hot. He doesn't appreciate it. With sleeping with a dog, sleeping on me.
That's why I get a twin size electric blanket so it doesn't bother him.
Well, we have the dual side, so it's just on the one side.
Okay.
Well,
But
we have one of those too, and so her side is always on, and it still permeates over to my side.
mhm.
So, okay, with that, with multiple sclerosis, we always talk. I think everyone was like urgently saying that heat was the big problem, like heat sensitivity with MS. But I guess the question is which impacts you all more, the heat or the cold, in terms of your multiple sclerosis? I say the cold for me.
That's me too.
Yeah, well, that's hard because I get pretty spastic when it says I have slow internet connection. I get spastic with cold, but I get like the tingling loss of function with hot.
Yeah.
Like last night or the night before, I was sitting with my husband on the couch and he had just taken a shower, and he takes like scalding hot showers, and he got out of the shower and was still so hot that with his feet touching my thigh, like I lost feeling in that spot. And I was like, you gotta go, buddy.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'll take a bath, the hottest I can get my bath water. And I have an older house and I probably have older water here. So sometimes the bath water is super hot, other times it's not so hot. I will wear a hat while I'm taking a bath because I'm still cold.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. And I'm still cold. And I have like at least one big thing of water, maybe two next, so I'm like down in the water, but I'm still really cold. Yeah. So before MS, cold always bothered me. When I was diagnosed, the heat sensitivity bothered me, where you get, especially the humidity will get me. But then as time go on, I think I noticed less of the heat sensitivity. But it was for a moment, for a while, it was like my spectrum of comfort just kind of shrank because at the opposite end of the spectrum, and people are like, "But you're heat sensitive." Like, yeah, but I'm cold all the time if I'm not moving. So the moral of the story is I just need to be moving all the time, and then I just need to like learn to start bouncing up and down or something.
Wow.
What about you, Mike? You're in Arizona, right?
Yes, I don't have any issues with heat and cold. Sometimes it seems like it, but then I realize where I am. It probably affects everyone the same.
Okay.
And as far as sleep goes, I've always had trouble sleeping, and I make a little cocktail pills for myself each night. And that seems to work. Been working for many, many, many years, and nothing I take is prescription or anything. So, and I try to stay away from. I've never taken Ambien or what other people have suggested to me. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I did go to see my neurologist, the actual nurse practitioner, and he's a nice guy. And at University of Arizona, they got 20 neurologists, and none of them have any specialization or keenness toward MS. And I really can't figure that out. But I'm satisfied with the nurse practitioner, and I really don't have anything flaring up right now or any needs other than maintaining. So I'm in good shape, and hopefully everyone else is.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's good. Well, Luann, you were saying it sounded to me like they just opened maybe like a more specialized clinic in Oklahoma.
Yeah, there was a doctor that was down at Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, which is the EMS Center for Oklahoma in Oklahoma City, and she got wooed by one of the hospitals here in Tulsa, and so they're working on, and they just opened up last September, and they're working on going ahead and getting what's the national group for the accredited EMS centers. They're working on that, but it takes 2 years. So, but she wanted to make sure this was with this clinic that they opened up, they want to give to the entire MS community. So they're having meetings. That, of course, all the meetings have been called off now,
Right.
until COVID gets whatever. So they would have a meeting once a month just to have the MS community interact with each other and give these informative things. So they've only had about probably 5 or 6 of the meetings because they're only once a month. And so one was a sleep doctor, and I'm trying to remember if I even went to all of them. I think I did. She did a lecture on, vaccines one time. And so we could ask questions, and then she even had personnel there to give the flu shot if anybody wanted it right there on the spot. So it's nice. It's going to take a few years for it to, as I said, be accredited by the whatever the national group is for the MS Center. What do they call that again? Does the MS Center, MSCF or whatever?
Multiple Sclerosis Consortium.
Yeah, consortium something. Yeah.
Okay.
So they said it takes 2 years, but no, I did not switch into that clinic, which, I thought about it, but my insurance wouldn't cover it.
Of course.
So I'm still with my neurologist, which is fine, I guess. I just wish he was a little bit more uplifting.
Yeah.
He says it with a smile. Oh, your spine is terrible. Thank you. I'm so glad I came.
Yeah.
So it's pretty new, and I'm sure she's already booked solid with with patients now, because we kind of have a neurologist desert here in Tulsa. So
Okay. Yeah, Mike, did you recently find the PA that you're seeing, or were you ever having trouble with the neurologist? Sorry,
I was having trouble. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carrie.
No, I just couldn't remember if you were having trouble finding a neurologist.
That was the issue. My 2 neurologists I've been seeing in Arizona since I moved here about 15 years ago have both retired, and they referred me to another guy who turns out to be their teacher, and he retired recently. He was 91, and I really like Harvey Bushbaum, but he's retired now, and so I'm seeing. They set me up with the nurse practitioner in his office, and I was a little nervous about putting myself in the hands of a nurse practitioner, and people I've known in this group as well have eased my mind on that. And when I met with him, he seemed pretty knowledgeable, and he would be able to help me if I had a condition flare up, and what I need to do and so on. So I'm very comfortable now.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Does anyone else have trouble locating or staying with their neurologist or MS?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Mike, because I've had a neurologist in Michigan down at the U of M hospital that I've gone to for probably 15 years, and I like her a whole lot, but there's a new kind of clinic that's closer to our house, and just like there's all kinds of buzz with support groups in the area about how wonderful this is. And I just wonder, like, when I don't want to jump ship, but I'm just like, should I maybe look for a second opinion? Or, and I feel bad because Dan's all going to my doctor now, and you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's always a question because Jennifer asked, because I mean, Ann Arbor is like 2.5 hours away from here. And so anytime
You guys are Mount Pleasant?
yeah. So we're about an hour north of Lansing. And, so anytime we go to see our neurologist down in Ann Arbor, she only sees patients on Mondays because she's primarily a research neurologist and stuff, but she'll see patients on Mondays. So we always schedule our meeting for right away 8 o'clock Monday morning. So then that way we go and spend the night at a hotel down in Ann Arbor. But then you're like, well, then you're, dropping $150 for food and gas and room just to see your doctor. And the other one, Carla, the one that's up in Owasso, which is, it's only about an hour and a half away from us, and you're just like, that could be a day trip. And so, but yeah, it's like, it's always a challenge. I mean, if we didn't like our neurologist, it'd be easy to just find somebody new. But, when you like your doctor, but you just look at what cost. I mean, and if you're going to a place that would potentially be just a different kind of care, but yeah, you just like, you don't know. It's like leaving a neurologist or like changing your MS medicines. I mean, these are things that, I don't think any of us just take lightly, or you can't do it like you say, okay, I'm tired of drinking Pepsi. I want to try a Coke today. Well, you just pick up.
Can't you call the insurance company and tell them what you're thinking, that it ultimately might be better for you and better for everybody if you just went and interviewed with the doctor in Owasso and see that might be a good fit, and not drop your Ann Arbor connection. Would the insurance company talk to you about stuff like that, or entertain or
Probably.
your referring doctor?
Yeah, that's very level-headed. I mean, I don't know if it's just this, like, we've been self-quarantined for 2 months, and I'm just like, I need to get out. I'm going crazy, and I don't know if I'm seeking the best care for my multiple
Because you have nothing else to think about. So let's just start thinking about everything.
Exactly.
And
I don't know if you are having those mental moments.
so then, like, what's the quarantine stuff like then down there in Texas, Frank, and in Oklahoma, and in Arizona? And I mean, I understand Iowa because I keep tabs on my parents, and Carly, Michigan, that we're locked down until the end of the month. But I mean, what's it like for everybody else? And are you going crazy?
No.
Texas is open.
Texas is open.
Out to dinner tonight and the restaurant. We've been out 2 or 3 times in the last week.
You were in a restaurant?
In the restaurant. Now,
Were you wearing a mask?
No.
Wow.
They are social distance. The restaurant staff is wearing a mask. All the menus are throwaways. They use them one time, they're thrown out.
Okay.
They're doing a very good job of social distancing within the restaurants. You can't, this tables are at least 6 feet apart. Every other table or 2 tables are empty with one that's got people at it. So it's not really been that big a deal. I mean, obviously they're not making enough money,
Yeah.
but they're opening back up.
What about so like one of my weird things already pre-COVID was going to the bathroom in a public place. I don't like doing that. Did you go to the bathroom and did you feel comfortable? Was that an Air 5, Kim?
I do not feel comfortable using any kind of public facilities right now. I feel very uncomfortable with that at the moment because I don't know how seriously people are taking things.
Mm.
In the zip code I live in, there's 0 cases of coronavirus. So our little town, about 1,200 people, is about that. And the restaurants are supposed, well, a couple of them will open up later this week, Thursday night, I believe. And we'll see how that goes. Actually, today I went to Mexico and went across the border to get some items I needed. And I thought there would be nobody coming back across the border. It would be a quick trip. It turned out to be 3 hours because on the U.S. side, they have about 5 lanes of officers to see your ID and all that. And they were shut down to 1 lane. And that's what held it up from being 10 minutes or 3 hours. And so I can report that the Customs and Border Patrol are, they got like 30 people standing around, but only one guy letting you through. And that's, I don't know if that's effective or not, but you know, a lot of time standing and thinking, what am I going to touch? I decided I could stand by myself for 3 hours and not touch a rail or wall or things like that, and I felt actually pretty good about it. In restaurants, in public, I don't like to touch things, and in spite of all that, you walk down the street and some guy will come by and cough. It just as he passes you, and you know, it's a crapshoot.
Mike, what brought you to Mexico? If you don't mind
I want to get some. Sure, I get my alcohol in Mexico, my tequila and my.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, it's cheaper, and I hadn't been there for a while, and I wanted to see what I had time on my hands today, and thought I would kill a couple hours down there. It turned out to be more of a journey than I expected, but it's fine. It worked out okay.
Yeah, Canada said they didn't want any Michiganders going over, so I was kind of surprised when you said you crossed the border.
Yeah, I've heard that Canadians don't want too many. They don't want any Americans crossing the line. And I used to live on Roselle downriver. We go there all the time, so by boat. And that's a really strange concept to me.
Well, it's like
Oklahoma is fine. We're in phase 1 of opening up, right ready to move into phase 2. And I haven't been anywhere really except for, you know, the wine store because I have to have my wine, and the plant store and Walgreens. So, you know, mask wearing is not mandated. They are requiring store employees to wear them. I noticed in Walgreens the other day, it's just what I expected. You know, it's young staff. They just have the ears, they have it around the ears, and it's just hanging down off their nose. They're not really taking it seriously. But you know, they just require them to, and they're just like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. You know, I do wear one when I go in. My husband will not wear one, period. So I make him go do all the grocery shopping. Not that I'm trying to kill him, but it keeps me out of the store.
Yeah.
So, I really haven't been anywhere. And they have opened up some restaurants, and they did that on April 24th. And I mean, restaurants were open and people were just flocking to them. And so, but I don't know what it looks like because I haven't been in one. So I still pick up my food and bring it here, or I have home chef delivery, bring 3 meals for the week, and I can split that out into 6 meals for the 2 of us, really. So, but I mean, it's kind of 50-50. Some people take it serious, and the others are just like, there's nothing going on. We just need life back to normal. Open the state. So it's kind of sad. I mean, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of freaky. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All I
and
can do is take care of myself.
Was anyone on the MS Society's conference call at noon today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You heard that thing about the report on how many people have had MS and the registry that they've got going?
We
I heard, yeah, I heard of it, or we saw it. I mean,
was there.
I went to it and checked it out. Okay. And it's Canada and the United States and the Consortium of MS Centers of Excellence. And so far, and again, it's all voluntary information. They've registered 190 reported cases of COVID-19 in the MS community. 148 of them were confirmed positives. 42 of them were suspected, but not confirmed. 140 people have recovered. 66 are still recovering, and there have been 6 deaths. And so the numbers line up pretty closely with what's going on in the general population. About
yeah.
5% mortality rate.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised to hear it.
I'm not so worried about dying myself. I'm more concerned about passing it on to someone else, being a vector, being a carrier. That's more my issue, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm not. It is. It's like that's the one thing, and we could get all like philosophical and everything and whatnot. But I'm like, the one thing that I don't like is just like the news, and I'm just the news and stuff, and they talk about the deaths. I mean, it is scary and everything, but it's just like how and I don't know if I had talked about it in the past, but it's just like, okay, yeah, the people are dying, but I mean, when you talk about the number of people who have recovered from it, that it's like, it is scary stuff, but it's just like, we need to at least know that, yeah, people do get over this. This is manageable in, different, a sizable amount of cases. So it's just like, I think it's just like, I don't know.
It's what do you want to emphasize? Okay, I mean, we were watching the news this evening, and the reporter and the CBS, and immediately started talking about the number of people that are dying, as rather than, give the whole picture. Okay, there are people dying, yes. There are people recovering. There are people that are getting better. Tell the whole story and not just the bad news, the bad stuff.
Yeah. Well, but
That's
I
why I
think,
don't watch the news. I just shut the news down because it was affecting me too much. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Luann. I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying, Frank, and I think part of what's happening, or at least I don't know, my version of the truth for me, is that if we focus too much on like everyone recovering, it's like a false positive, and then people are like, oh well, everybody's fine from it, and they don't see the folks that are dying from it. So there's sort of two fields of it, you know what I mean?
So
Sure.
I hear what you're saying, and like we can't be all doom and gloom all the time, but we don't want to focus too much on like, look at everyone that's doing great, because then everybody's going to be way too lax, and then we'll have another spike. And I don't know, Dan and Jen, I'm so tired of being in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think hopefully now with the weather clearing up that we can actually sit outside on the patio, or I see your hammock on your photos today, Carly, and stuff. But I think that, with the news, when I, studied journalism and stuff, and that was the one thing that they told us, it's just like, if you're doing a news story and stuff, the story of a postman getting bit by a dog, that's not the news. It happens all the time. So I mean, but the news is if the postman bites the dog, that's your news story and stuff. I mean, if we did it, the story isn't people getting over the coronavirus, it's the fact that it's killing people, and that's, but again, I think what they need to do, or what I would be better, is if they were to present, both sides, and I think that's just where you get unbiased reporting and not just the one side. So there's
Right.
my journalism lesson for today. So thank you very much. That's free and tuition and everything.
It's the old if it
The
bleeds,
kids
it
are saying,
leads routine.
what was that, Frank?
It's the old if it bleeds, it leads routine.
Yeah.
Journalism. I think the thing is we've got to all have to pay attention, and that's just what it's about. We've got to pay attention to what's going on around. And I think if we do that, we'll be okay. I mean, there are going to be little blips, and I think this is here to stay. It's not going to go away this summer and never come back again. It's going to be back. Uh, yeah, it's going to be something we have to learn to live with.
So then Luann mentioned she has
Mhm.
to turn the news off, and I do the same.
Yeah.
How do you take in information, or do you not at all at this point? Is that too toxic for you?
Oh, well, the city health department and the state health department just has a sheet that will tell you how many deaths, how many have recovered, how many positives, how many, and that's all I need to see. I don't need to see anything else. So I can just go and glance at that and move on about my day. So,
Okay.
because I had other things to worry about. I was trying to get PPP and, because I mean, I've been out of work for what are we going on, 2 months now? So, it's like I need some money. So I got other things to concern myself with than just following all the news, all the toxic news that's going on. So I just don't even glance at it. I might look at a nice, good story, but not the negative story about all the deaths and all the politicians fighting amongst each other. I do listen to one of my state senators. He's really good at reporting every single day. I do not listen to my governor every single day because sometimes I think he's like a fruitcake. And my mayor has just shut up. So, it's like he lost the battle. He's like, okay, I'm just turning it over to the governor and he can just handle all of this now. So it's just kind of interesting. So.
It was for us, and I'm not calling out Dan specifically, but maybe Wednesday of last week, he was like, okay, I've had it, Jen. We can watch the news, we can watch the headlines, but I'm not going to stay to hear all the doom and gloom stories. He's like, I can check the news on Twitter. I'm with you, Carly and Luann, where it's just like, as long as I know something, I just.
Well, it's just like a matter of like social media distancing. It's just I'd rather, and there's good TV, and I'll recommend The Last Dance if y'all aren't watching it on ESPN. But anyway, just so where you feel like, what you think of how many hours you're awake during the day, and it's just like, that we're really going to consume all of our waking hours listening, thinking, talking about COVID, which we're doing right now. But this is our event. This is our chance to commiserate with others who get it, because like God knows we had enough to deal with the multiple sclerosis. So
Well, that's kind of what my tie-in was thinking in it tonight, is because I was getting so anxious and so stressed, and then that affects all of my symptoms. And it was like, I gotta cut it off at some point. So like, I'll read the headline from what the governor has said when she makes announcements, but I can't even listen to really the whole announcement anymore. It's just, it's too much.
Yeah.
And then I don't sleep.
Yeah. And which goes back to something I was going to ask you. Those of you that said, like, I know when Dan, just because of his wife, when he doesn't sleep well, then all throughout the day he's still tired.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that sweet spot. Like, if I get like 7 hours of sleep, I'm pretty good all day. And maybe once in a while, if I get less than 7, I'll be okay. But if I don't sleep well and poop all day, I'm like yawning and I can't get my thoughts together. And so that's how I think sleep affects me. Like if I don't get that quality sleep, I don't know if you guys feel like that. It's like I have to really get good sleep.
Yes.
And it's just like I remember being in college where I could like function on very little sleep and one hell of a hangover. And now I'm like a little multiple sclerosis that just knocks me out, you know, and like, ah, boy. Yeah, sorry, I just had to ask about sleep.
I'm
I think
wondering
it's interesting because I was never a big drinker, so I've never had an alcohol hangover. I've had a hangover like Fairbanks is very desert, so if you don't drink enough water, you wake up dehydrated and you have this nasty headache. But I always get upset because, I'll sleep terrible or I wake up and I have this awful, like, I try to explain people, like, it feels like I went out and partied all night, and in reality, I did nothing. I was in bed all day.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like when I wake up in the morning.
Well, and I don't know about allergies with any of you. I've been waking up, my head is
Live
so
chat.
stuffy where I feel like I've been out partying all night. And I'm like, all I did was go to sleep and I wake up and my head is so stuffed up, allergies. So, yeah.
Yeah. Kim, that's just not fair.
What?
That you get hangovers from not even having a drink.
I know, and I never had a hangover before from alcohol, but I'm assuming it's the same thing. It's the dehydrated kind of feel. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
essentially.
But yeah, when I was especially in Fairbanks, it was super dry up there. Where like I didn't have super long hair, but if I was like in the shower and I was in there for a while, like shaving my legs, by the time I got out of the shower and hadn't had my hair was already almost dry. Didn't have to use a hairbrush. You didn't have to use a hair dryer in the winter in Fairbanks. It was so dry.
Wow.
You could like spark, like if you had like a metal stall, bathroom stall, and you hit the close the thing, you could see a spark, or you take off your flannel.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really dry up there.
Lillian, we lost you there for a minute. You're back?
I know. I did not realize this. My husband said something to me, and I was trying to tell him to not walk in front of my computer in his underwear. And I lost you at that moment, so I had to go back in and bring it back. I mean, I'm not that familiar with how GoToMeeting works. Obviously, you cannot walk away from your computer. So
We're not sharing your screen, so all is well.
okay. He's been walking by in his underwear, and he's like looking at me, and I'm like, "Don't walk in front of this computer." People will see you in your skivvies, so we don't want that.
I'm waiting for an embarrassment moment like that where my husband's like on a meeting for actual work and I'm not, I'm just like, total airhead because I didn't sleep and like wander downstairs in the basement and go behind. He's been very good. Like if I've gone downstairs and he's like, like don't move forward. So he's always talking about it, but one day someone's gonna get nailed on here and it's gonna get plastered on YouTube somewhere. What were you doing? I was just doing my thing, not used to having corporate in my basement,
Way off into left field there from sleeping.
Yeah. All because of one man walking by in his skivvies to the bathroom. Okay.
Did you guys see the SNL skit about the Zoom meeting? Did you watch that?
Yes,
Yes.
They were
yes.
Oh, I
giving
see.
they were
Yeah.
giving the older population a really hard time about Zoom meetings.
Oh.
Well, and I think what makes it so funny is I see my parents in that. So
I saw one that it was a Zoom meeting with people from a company, and one of the guys got up and walked away, and he would no pants on, and he's walking.
Is that like really such a problem? I don't do that in my own home. I'm not comfortable enough to do that.
Oh, I do.
It's funny. There's always someone in a group though.
I
I'm
confess
always
I do.
cold, so I'm wearing pants. The only time I'm not wearing pants is because I've gained weight and my pants don't fit well, so then I might not wear them. But that's the only reason. It's because it doesn't feel comfortable because I've gained weight. That's the only reason I wouldn't wear pants.
I guess I'm just comfy. I'm like, hey, I'm in my underwear. No problem.
so then as we talk, I mean, what did you all? I mean, we have a meeting. You're like, I'm going to log into the meeting tonight because I want to talk about this, or are we just talking about Zoom meetings in our underwear? That'll be our meeting for next time.
Well, I did have something MS related. I was wondering if you guys experienced it. So usually I see my MS nurse practitioner in a couple on the 29th. So I would start to start thinking like, is there anything new, anything different, anything I'm noticing? And one thing I noticed for myself is so like my husband and I have been watching that Michael Jordan documentary and things like that. But I noticed lately if I am watching like there's a difference between listening to a podcast with like no distraction and watching TV where there's music and there's stuff going on. I have to read captions now. If I'm not reading TV, I'm not getting it. It's like I hear it and my brain does not interpret it into. Are you guys having problems with that? Like I can hear fine. I hear the sounds, but especially with my husband, I'm always like, what? You know, like if there's like something going on in the background, he says something like, I heard you, but I have no clue what you said. So I'm noticing like me switching tasks or being able to focus on the hearing if there's other things going on is really tough for me.
Like
Does anyone else?
overstimulation.
I don't understand. It's just too much. Like I can't multitask. I can't. If I have to like a really stupid example is like if I'm doing a puzzle or playing a game, I can't listen to. There's too much going on in Unsolved Mysteries for me to listen and understand it versus listening to a podcast. I can do that, but I noticed like especially with the Michael Jordan documentary where some of the players don't enunciate as much or they might have like a little bit of a an accent. I'm like glued to the TV reading the words or else I'm like I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what's going I like my comprehension just takes a nosedive. Has anyone noticed that with themselves?
Does it matter what time of day you're watching? Because like if you're more tired in the evening or does it matter what time of the day that you're watching TV?
Well, it'll obviously be exponentially worse like when I'm really tired, but it's always a problem. It's not like, oh, in the mornings it's fine, but in the afternoons, whoa, it's something like it's become really apparent. Like when we started watching the documentary, he didn't have captions on. I was like, what is going on here? And stuff. And I also notice a lot too, like if something's going on, I'm not like looking at someone and like looking at their face to get hints from their, I'm really starting to notice I just can't, be away. If something else is going on, if it's quiet, I can do that. But if it's not quiet, that's the problem. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time filtering out the extra stuff to actually interpret the data that's coming in, the language I'm hearing.
I think, yeah, because I think a lot of times it is that for me, yeah, it's this sensory overload. And I mean, and you're not necessarily, that's what you're saying, but yeah, it's just like, I can't multitask when there's a job I have to do. I was just like part of my attention to detail or OCD or something. And it's just like, because if I'm not zeroed in on it, yeah, I don't comprehend, or it's just like I get distracted. Or Jennifer will say, do you remember when I said that? And I'm just like, I remember when you said it. I don't know if it was something I was supposed to understand, or I was just supposed to say, yeah. So yeah, I see what you're saying, because it's like, I don't know if that's like new for me though, because I always have had to like be clued in on something.
I've had it, but I've noticed I think it's worse. And I don't know if I notice it more because my husband's around more, so I have someone to talk to in person more during the day, or what. But like if I want to watch a show, like an actual show with a theme with it, like The Mentalist or something, or I have to sit and watch the screen and read the captions. I can't just be doing something else and listen to it, because it'll I will just totally go over I won't pick up anything. And I just find it so intriguing and fascinating. Like, I'm not deaf, I can hear, but I'm really having a hard time translating those sounds into language and understanding what's being said. And same thing with like games. So I've been playing like tons of games lately. So I did a lot of jigsaw puzzles, and I've moved on to games. I've been playing games by myself and stuff, and I'll just be like, wow, the amount of brain power to do some of these games is really tough for me. Like, I have to have a scratch piece of paper to keep track of, like, okay, what number am I on? And if I do this, I have to subtract. How I can't do that. Like, I'll lose, like, try to count things up. I'll like lose track of where I am. Or if I'm like, okay, I have 23 points, I have this much to fight, and like, okay, I did 17. I'm like, I can't remember. Like, I have to write everything down now. It's just
Well, I do it
really
all the time
apparent
with
now.
games. It's fun. I mean, you
Yeah,
have
I
to keep
love
track.
games, but I just like, it's just like all the time I really like, especially when it comes to the math and the adding and subtracting and remembering where I'm at, because I like will forget. Like, my short-term memory is a lot worse. Like, I can't remember. I'll be like, I was playing Risk for like the first time, and like just like counting up all the territories. I'm like, crap, did I count that territories? Like, how many? I mean, just, but
So Kim, now that you're explaining it a little bit more, I think part of what your experience is why I started taking Ritalin a few years back, is it
mhm.
helps me filter out like that background stuff that I don't really need to pay attention to. But even because I'm tired today, like I was on a Zoom call earlier from like 6:30 till 7:45, ate dinner, and then hopped back on, and I forgot how to log in to my go-to meeting that we co-moderate together. Like, I forgot how to come in. So maybe just think circumstantially too, like if it's more pronounced when you're tired or that sort of thing, just keep track of it. But
I
yeah.
do know that, like, notice that MS worsens my dyslexia. Like, it'll make it very more pronounced than what it was. And I think that's the thing that frustrates me more. So when I saw like the neuropsychologist at Mayo Clinic last August, and we were talking and like complaining about certain things, he's like, yeah, your MS worsens your dyslexia. I'm just like, okay, but I don't
Well,
know, like things that
the
you
other
just
thing too, so I'm sorry, the other thing too that
okay.
I wanted to maybe highlight a little bit is I try to think too, like when I'm thinking about my symptoms like that, if it's something I want to bring up to my doctor, if it's something like right now in COVID time, it's like, okay, is this because I'm stressed out globally with everything, or is this like an MS thing? And that might be hard to parcel through too, because if you just have like generalized anxiety, now is not a great time to be, attributing it to MS. Mhm.
It's just something like, when you first have symptoms of MS, you're like, am I imagining something, or am I actually having a problem with it? Because it's like one thing you can't it's not a very, precise thing. And then
Right,
as time goes on, you're like, no, this is a problem. This is something, no, this is
right.
actually, like when I've talked about previously about not knowing where the back end of my car is anymore. No, you really don't know where it's at anymore. It's gone.
So this is like a fairly recent problem, or you've noticed it like
I I've had the problem, but it's definitely worsened. Like, but also at the same time, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Have I watched a lot of shows recently? Or have I been binging more? Because certain shows are very like Masked Singer. I don't pay attention. It's just they sing and I just figure out who's at the end. Doesn't matter. But like other ones, the storylines and things like that.
Yeah, unsolved mysteries and that sort of.
God, I love unsolved mysteries. I'm totally living nostalgia right now.
What about Mike? Do you experience anything like that, or Luann?
Well, I've had trouble watching the TV. I think my hearing is not as good as it was, and certain decibel levels, certain voices I can't hear at all. They just sound squeaky, or I miss the whole thing. So I've joined the crowd that's captioning, reading the captions, and I find myself enjoying TV now that I know what's going on. And what else did I notice? Just a whole bunch of people staying at home and getting out and doing what they need to. Some people are more afraid of going out, or more cautious, I guess. And I know who those people are in my community, and the people who stare at you if you walk in the post office and you're not keeping us 10 feet away or something, and they kind of freak out. You get used to that, and you know who they are, and don't want to cause anybody else trouble. And earlier, someone said, I think it was Frank, or mentioned that they wouldn't. Being sick with coronavirus is not the worst thing they can think of, is giving it to someone else. But I agree with that. But I would say we don't know. Nobody knows a year from now or 6 months from now what the effect is on scarring of the lungs and stuff like that. And some people seem to get different degrees of ill from coronavirus. I don't know anybody who's been sick with it, so I haven't actually had any first-hand experience, but I just reading and listening to, I don't want to get it. And first of all, I would be one of those who would be on the not afraid side, but I think the long-term consequences, if we don't know, and for anyone to suggest that you're going to bounce back and be able to, ride a bike at 40 miles and climb mountains and stuff, they may find that is not true. But we have to be able to adapt to new news, as we all know, and we see what that data tells us. I'm not an alarmist, but I didn't want to put that in. That we really don't know a whole lot about the coronavirus. We don't know the long-term effects and so on.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, with the coronavirus and everything, it is a lot of the fears of the unknown, and I guess I'm speaking for myself with opening it up to the rest of y'all then. I mean, think about how you are today with your multiple sclerosis versus how you were when you were first diagnosed. When you were first diagnosed, were you a lot more freaked out about it than you are right now? Or are you even more so freaked out about this disease?
I was much more. I knew it was coming when I first got it, but I didn't know I would recover, and I was more afraid then of the MS, and I really don't concern or connect the MS with coronavirus, although I just saw something about vitamin D deficiency. But we knew that vitamin D deficiency seems to attack the immune system, and we all know that our immune systems are compromised, so that shouldn't be a stretch to figure that out. But other than that, I really don't have any issues with the coronavirus and MS.
I get what Dan is saying. Like, when I was first diagnosed, I was so worried about everything, and when I first heard about coronavirus, we weren't having caregivers come into the house because I didn't want us to get it. And now it's like, well, that's killing me. I'm having to do everything. So we adapt, and like, I don't feel that I'm getting back or anything, but
Yeah, I just think that because we were so afraid of coronavirus, and then it's just like the longer we're living with it, and then we realize it's here to stay, it's like we're not as freaked out as we were when it first came into our neighborhood, our state, or whatever. And I guess comparing then to multiple sclerosis, whereas when I was first diagnosed, every little symptom I had, anytime I had a cough, it's like, oh my God, I'm having an exacerbation. And it's like, once you realize that's not how the disease works. So yeah, it's just like, with all due respect to my disease, but it's like MS doesn't phase me as it once did. It's just like I live with it, I deal with it, I know how to deal with it, more so. And so it's like with that, then I'm just thinking with the coronavirus, eventually, hopefully it's just something that we contain.
Yeah, I was the opposite. Not even talking about coronavirus, but with me, my MS,
Yeah.
it bothers me more now than it did when I was diagnosed, because when I was diagnosed, I was able to work and work full time and way over full time and be functional, and I can't do that anymore. So to see the disability that has increased my decrease in functioning within like 8 years freaks me out.
yeah.
Kind of like you've seen the effects it can have.
Yes.
And you know that it's real and it's in your
Right.
face.
So instead of being like freaked out about like, oh my God, I have MS, what am I going to do? That didn't freak me out. More, it was like a relief. Like, okay, it's not cancer. I know what it is. That's the big problem. It's like, what is this I'm dealing with? So actually it was a relief to find out I had MS, because at least I knew how to deal with it. But then after 5 years or so, like I just couldn't do what I did before, and I'm still having a hard time dealing with that. That's still a struggle with me daily.
Yeah.
Not being still having a problem being a fully functional person, not being able to do the things I was able to do and stuff. That's still really hard for me.
Yeah.
Still really struggle with that.
Yeah, that's hard. The grieving process. I was sharing this in a different group, and it wasn't an MS related group, but I was sharing my frustration with the fall that I had, a week and a half ago. It's embarrassing that I fell. Like, I thankfully had a hat on, but I would have face planted if I hadn't. And just coming to terms of like what it is my body can do and pushing it beyond where I probably shouldn't have that day because I was too tired. But I think, Kim, I had a lot of the same reaction. Like when I got diagnosed, I was like, oh, great, now I know what I have. Like, now what? What's next? Whereas now, I've gained a lot of function back when I first got diagnosed. So in that regard, I'm better. But then I get reminders like my one big fall a year where I'm like, oh shit, I'm not there yet. Or I'm not where I thought I was. Or is this just normal aging? I don't think most 35-year-olds have a fall like this every year, but it's just part of like what I have to accept with how my body is.
I think that's one of my things that drives me nuts is like I will try to do, okay, well, let's try X, Y, and Z. And it feels like MS is always a moving target. It always changes. Something that will work one day won't work the next day. And you can't like So it's just really hard to like, because the way I described and I've done previously, it's like a sink with two faucets. One you have complete control over, the other one you have no control over. So depending on what this faucet's doing, depends on whether what you're doing is going to help or not. So
Well,
that's the
it's like
way I have to look at it.
yeah, that makes sense. And it's like a constant grieving process, right? Because like today I can do this, but tomorrow maybe not.
Tomorrow you're gonna pay for the next 2 days. You're gonna pay for having a really good day today.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to be. I'm like, oh yeah, live it up today, because you're gonna, regardless what you're gonna do, you're gonna have a
Right,
little
you're already
after
paying
effects
for
the
this
next couple.
tomorrow.
You're gonna, yeah. And I'll be like today, this morning, I was like, look, I can't sleep. I'm gonna get stuff done. I'm like, I'm gonna be hitting a wall here soon. My husband's like, oh yeah. I'm like, a couple hours, like, yep, I'm hitting the wall now.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. What about you, Luann?
Well, it's just, it's just every day. You were talking about running. I used to run, except then I started falling, and but because I was always dizzy, and that's how I got diagnosed. So I ended up stopping running, tried to start again a few times, and that just didn't work well because, my gait was so messed up that I would just end up limping most of the way and catching my foot. And it's like, oh, that's not good. So now I just walk. But now it's, my hip has always been kind of bad. And I don't know why. I've never had it checked out, but it's attributed to the MS. And now my knee is going. So it's like, well, I'm walking and now my knee is killing me. And I'm trying to question whether or not I should contact the neurologist or my primary care about this, or do nothing because it's not going to get any better. So I think I've just kind of admitted defeat on my left side of my leg here, that it's just going to go to crap. So yeah, I have a good fear of being more disabled, being cane bound, if necessary, to keep me being, to function as best as I can possible. So I don't know where I'm going to be heading from here.
Have you tried?
Not fitting very well. Yeah,
And
I know. Okay.
You can't do it right now because of COVID, but have you ever tried walking in the pool?
Oh yeah, we used to do it all the time. Because I would do pool therapy. Oh. I'm still trying to fix my stuff. Okay.
Luann, that brought up a good point. And I've been trying to be more mindful of this too. Does anybody else experience like whichever side, like your left side or your right side, is more affected by your symptoms?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
My
Yeah.
left side.
My right side.
My right side. I have a bum right foot leg. Like when they do that tapping thing at the neurologist, you tap like your foot.
Mhm.
I suck on my right side. I'm just like,
My right side, my right leg's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything, just drags along behind me.
Yeah, I'm noticing more and more like the heat sensitivity that I had with like my husband the other day. It was like more so on my left side, and generally everything is on my right side. But I think it was just because that was where he was. But even like my knee is healing, my right knee is taking significantly longer to heal than my left side, and it's like this is weird. That's comforting though to hear that you guys are having the same problems.
Looking back on my history with MS, it seems like my right side has been the part of my body that gets the worst of it when I have an attack, and I'm like Frank. I have a dragging right leg now. I can still pick it up, walk normally, but I don't know where my foot is going to land. So I'm always careful about where I'm walking and what I'm going to step on. Much more conscious of that than about anything else. But yeah, there's a difference between the left and right side. I think we all have that. So surprised by some of those things.
Yeah, mine's documented on my left side. So from the very first appointment when I was diagnosed, he documented that I have deficiencies in the left side. So didn't even know it.
It's like when I used to run, because I get to be left side weak, and as I would run, I'd start dragging my, left foot, and it's like you could see then I'd have to get new shoes, and my right shoe would look perfect on the bottom, but the left shoe up at the toe would be worn down to the sole and everything because I kept dragging it on the concrete. So yeah, I'm just like very much left side weak.
And I don't have foot drop. My dorsal flexion in both feet are just fine.
Yeah.
But just one gets more fatigued than the other. I mean,
Yep.
I have that hip pain in the left, so it's something with the gait that's done it. Now the knee, I don't have very good feeling. I no longer really have very good right feeling on the bottom sole of my foot, on the right foot, sorry. So it's just really weird. And how quickly it progressed from my diagnosis. It's like, what's going on here? So that's a little scary, actually. It's like, I didn't expect it to be this bad because when I was diagnosed, I thought, oh, good, I'm going to stay just like this right now for the rest of my life. Haha. Well, that didn't happen. So.
I didn't really even think of that, Dan, with the shoes, because I know I tripped on my right side, and again, because I was tired, but I haven't ever looked at my shoes to really even pay attention to that. But even just sitting here, I'm a little bit warm, and like my right hand goes tingling when I'm a little bit warm.
Look at my tennis shoe. My right heel is gone
Yeah.
because I'm always dragging the right heel.
Well, yeah, so it's like every time I would go to run, I'd leave, and last words from Jennifer, she'd always say, pick up your feet, because I wouldn't get to the end of the run. I'd be coming down, and honest to God, when you'd step with your right foot, but then I'd always step, saying to myself to lift my left leg, because otherwise, once you start running, you get tired. And that's, I used to always run on the concrete because I couldn't run on trails because I didn't want to drag over a tree root or something. But then that's the stupid thing, because you shouldn't run on concrete because that's bad for your knees, it's bad for your feet and everything. And so, but yeah, after falling one too many times, it's like the risk wasn't worth going out. But if once I stopped running, I should have kept walking, because that was, I'm not in as good a shape as I once was.
Walking is good. I do it every day.
Yeah.
How far do you run?
Back in the day, I did I would do like 4 miles, like 3-4 times a week.
What about you, Carly?
Well, I had actually signed up for a half marathon this year. I don't think they're going to be doing the Freep this year.
Yeah,
Just
I doubt it.
I out of my gut. The friends that I signed up with, they're still got their heads in the sand about it. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I was getting closer to 5 miles a day that I was training for. So
Every day.
my
Wasn't
fall,
every day.
I literally was around the block. I was 0.6 miles into my run. So I didn't make it very far at all, but I can walk a lot farther.
Wow. When I used to run, I used to do about, 3 or 4 miles every, 2 to 3 times a week. And then I would do a long run of around 10 to 15 miles.
Wow.
That would be a Sunday long run. So, but that all went away.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? Did you run?
No, I don't. My legs don't work well enough for me to run. Happy if I can walk 3 miles.
Wow.
That's an accomplishment for me. Otherwise, my back, I lean to the side and tilt backwards after about 2 miles, and it's all I can do to get back to my house. And then I take the dogs for a long walk or something. So I know my limits, and one thing I miss is walking and running and climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What about Frank? Did you share about, do you walk or were you a runner?
Not really. And I've always been a office kind of guy. Uh, haven't done any running since I was in high school, which was a long time ago. And, uh, I walk and I did, but I never really measured, and it just wasn't a big thing then. It wasn't.
Walking is like all I have right now. I don't drive anywhere because I don't have anywhere to go. Michigan, everything's still pretty well shut down, and um, it's about 5 miles from my house to the lake, and so I can walk up to Lake Shore. I'll do that maybe once every week or every other week. That's my long walk.
That's nice.
Mhm.
That's so awesome. You're so close to a lake that you can go and enjoy.
Yeah. That's what keeps me motivated to go.
What else? I'm like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's almost like, if there's no like COVID, because I mean, so y'all are going to see your neurologist. Has anybody done anything like with the telehealth or
Yes,
anything? Yeah,
yes. It worked out just fine.
really
Yeah, I cannot complain about it at all.
cool.
But you still have to go in to get the blood test done, so you still have to go do all that stuff. But no, we did a telehealth, teleconference, whatever you want to call it, and it was good. And he had it set up in such a way that they called, confirmed that I was going to do it that day, and then they called me at the time, and we had the telehealth meeting.
Very cool.
I don't have an appointment until July, so
Yeah, I'll call them like the week of to see what their game plan is. I mean, I was continually opening up stuff, so I think the last time I've talked to another MS or the sees this, they're still seeing patients normally. So I'll go in there if that's what they want me to do.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's just like when I was yawning at the beginning, I'm thinking, dude, that we've made it this far. I'm thinking this is awesome. And then I'm thinking, what else to talk about tonight?
Well, I think a lot. I've had already this week like four since Sunday Zooms, and it seems like you get to the end of them and all like this because like, well, what are you doing? Nothing. Same as last time we talked. What about you? Yep, same.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's just like, because we're dealing with like at work, just the challenges with all the universities and whether they're gonna have classes this fall. And that's the other thing too. It's like just thinking about when we're talking about telehealth, and it's interesting, and I've seen just commentary on that it's just like, where do we have to go to the doctor every time? And same thing, with work and with people working remotely, and just how it used to be, oh, you have to come into the office, you have to be here. Now with this COVID, we're at least seeing that, technically, no, you don't have to be here. And I didn't read this story, but just saw the headline that like Twitter, that they said that people will not have to return to the office, that they can work from home from now on. I always think, and I always thought it was interesting when I got my job to work remotely, and everyone was so jealous. And it's like, oh my gosh, you get to work from home. That's so awesome, blah, blah, blah. Everyone gets to work from home now and nobody wants to do it. Everyone wants to go to the office. And it's just like,
that's because there's too many distractions to be working at home. You got the dog, you got, your kids.
It's just like, well, and that's exactly, I think that's the benefits. I don't have kids, and Jennifer, I mean,
Yeah,
she,
Jennifer.
I mean, I mean, I've got, my office, so I close my door and stuff, but she has her caregiver. And so, I mean, because, yeah, I feared that if I work from home, I just want to go and play with her and stuff. But you realize work has to get done. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Go
think a lot of
go
people.
make cookies.
exactly.
But the other thing is, when you're working at home, you don't seem to have a 9 to 5 routine. I mean, you work till
Yeah.
the work gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of what I have is like, I still kind of have to maintain that, 9 to 6 thing because there's other people who are working in the office. But I'm just like, I would not, if I didn't have that kind of structure, I probably wouldn't get the work done, or I'd sit there and work from like 7 at night till 3 in the morning because, we're playing. But it's a beautiful thing.
Never
I
had,
filled my MS Med with who do I fill it with? Walgreens, right? Specialty pharmacy. And I got to the customer service rep and he said he was working from home. And I'm like, you are? And he's like, yeah. Found out 85% of the specialty pharmacy employees were working from home. That included the pharmacists. And he didn't really like it because when he logs into the mainframe, there's so much internet traffic in his neighborhood, it would lag, and I had to be really patient for him so he could pull my order up to process it. So I thought that was interesting that 85% of Walgreens specialty pharmacy is working from home.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff
a lot
could
of
go
people
from.
go back.
A lot of people could work from home successfully. My husband got so frustrated with their internet provider Mediacom that he actually got CenturyLink in addition to it. So now we have 2 internet providers right now. And he's like, when I go back to work, I'll cancel CenturyLink. But he's like, I just can't deal. I have to have a reliable internet. But I
So
think
he's
a lot
just
of it's also a
back and forth.
generational thing with the working from home. I think like people my parents' age have a huge issue. Like you have to go somewhere to work, and younger generations are more comfortable working from home, but it's definitely a
Oh
big.
shoot, I'm probably your parents' age.
Oh,
I don't think it's
But I'm saying like a lot of them had never experienced it before, so it really freaked them out. But now they're like, oh, this is okay. But there's pros and cons with it. Obviously, working from home, but like you never leave. You don't.
right.
You lose the social
That was
aspect.
what I was. That's what I was gonna say. Is I moderate a toxic workplace group, and also in a different realm, but that's one of the things that people don't have a start and end time to their day, and that's what people are struggling with. Is there's no structure and they don't know what to do from home. Either they're on all the time or they don't know how to turn it on. They're like, I don't want to work from home. I'm at home.
Yeah.
so I thought I liked that, Kim. I did really. And then she starts telling about her parents' generation. I actually think I'm part of your parents' generation, Kim. I hate to admit it.
Me too.
They're late 60s, early 70s.
Oh,
But
no,
I'm just saying a lot of like I've seen a lot of people that are bosses that are that age that were like really freaked out about working from home. Like my husband does IT. There's no reason he needs to be in the office. Very rarely he could do everything from home. But until this hit, they were very weirded out about him working from home.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also a supervision issue where a lot of people like, well, if you're working from home, are you actually working? So
I'm not going to fess up, but I will say I've been working from home since the mid 90s, and
so you were one of the first people that were doing that, yeah.
it works great for me, but I'm disciplined. I know. I mean, I try and be at my desk by 8 o'clock every morning, and I've got stuff to do, and I don't have a boss looking over my shoulder other than me, and other than my some of my inspirations who people like Bill, who have passed away, and my co-founder. So they watch over me and they make sure I do what I got to do. But I just think a lot of it is your own mentality. I mean, I'm not a social person, so it doesn't matter to me that I don't have people around me. I mean, when I used to have to go into an office, I wasn't.
Those are distractions. I can't stand being in the office because everyone's always talking.
Yeah, you know,
It
and
depends
I
what
want to get
environment
stuff
you're
done.
in.
Want to work.
So, Rick, I'm totally the opposite, and I love working independently. I'm an extrovert to the nth degree, but I don't mind working at home at all.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
also like
I
I
love
also
it.
like going to the office where I'm just the only one. So I don't really work from home, but we have it so if I'm in, when only one person can be in the office at the time, so then I go into my little time slot and I have the whole place to myself. And I love that because I can talk out loud and, use the other senses to help me remember stuff. But I like that. But I don't like working from home day after day because I have a hard time with the work balance from home. Now, my sister-in-law does amazing. She's awesome doing work from home. But she's also the crazy person that can work out every day by herself at home. She's one of those amazing people. I can't do that. I need someone to like yell at me and crack the whip.
I work out. No, I work out every day. I mean, I have to. But let me just say before, because we're coming to the end here, and I did find out about the oil that you put on the sole of your feet.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I put it in. It's called Serenity Oil. That's made by doTERRA. I don't know what's in it, but my friend who supplies the oil said she'd be happy to send anybody a free sample so you can try it out. So if you'd like a free sample of this doTERRA Serenity Oil, please send me an email with your address, and I will pass it on to Jennifer, and she will take care of you. She's really she's a very nice lady. She and her husband are friends of mine here, and they're very nice. She's actually a women's health nurse practitioner, but she recently retired, so she actually has a medical background. So send me your address, your mailing addresses, and I will make sure you get. And then next time we talk in 2 weeks, maybe you'll say, I've been sleeping like a baby.
Gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
If I could just sleep consistently, like 4 to 5 nights a week, like a good sleep, I would be happy.
I think everybody has my email, but if not, it's rd@ancan.org. So, all right. And I also wanted to say I put it in the chat, but since Mike is on the telephone, he can't see the chat. But when you ask Mike whether he walks or hikes, I will say that his wife makes up what he doesn't do, because she goes off on 25-mile hikes. So she's pretty amazing. So
That's like a marathon almost.
yeah.
Pretty close.
Isn't that yeah, because 26 miles. Something
Like 26.2.
Like what was Vicky's training regime when she was going to go up Kilimanjaro? It was nuts.
What was your question, Rick?
I said, what was Vicky's training regime when she was training to walk up to the top of Kilimanjaro?
They were going every Saturday for about a 12 to maybe 20-mile hike up to 10,000 feet. And
Wow.
she got strong as well. She took the vitamins and Chinese herbs the doctor told her about, and some of those things that affect your brain at altitude. Well, she did fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
In fact, she's looking for another hike. Don't know where. Don't know how she'll get there. But she'd like to do it again.
Has she done the Appalachian Trail out of curiosity, Mike?
No. Again, we're in the West. Friends do the Pacific Trail and the John Muir Trail in California, but I'm not familiar with those myself. But she really likes to go to climb the mountains. So
Yeah.
I say climb them. She likes to walk them.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I will let the Digmans know as soon as I have the link so that you can put the recording up. Carly, should I be sending you that link too?
You have been, yeah.
I have. Okay, so I'll send it to Carly and I'll send it to the Digmans and they'll post it wherever they get to post it. And Jennifer, I'll give you a call during the week, probably next couple of days, and we can maybe talk a little bit about this presentation that we have in mind. And the other thing is, if you think that there are other MS webinars that would be helpful, let's talk about it. Because we can do that. I mean, that's not a problem. Okay. I hope Miss Kim warms up at some point.
If you figure out the solution, let me know.
Okay. Well, I've got it. You could come live here in Tubac with Mike and me, where it's it's been 100 degrees this past week.
But it's a dry heat, so that's a lot different than a humidity.
Yeah, it is a dry heat. We had a couple. Hey, listen, I'm standing there on Sunday, and out of nowhere we get this enormous rainstorm. It lasts about 10 minutes. The drops are about the size of peas, these enormous big drops. And thank goodness we weren't outside when it happened, or we weren't biking, because we would have gotten drenched. Were you inside when that happened, Mike, when it rained on Sunday?
Yes, I was. And the raindrops beating on the sky domes in my kitchen were alerted me how big they were. It was like a hailstorm almost.
Yeah, it was amazing, like from nowhere, and then it's gone. But it did get humid for a while, I will tell you. All right, listen, it's so nice to see all of you, and I think the next meeting is
I was just looking. It's on the 26th.
26th.
So the day after Memorial Day. So have a safe Memorial Day. It's not like we're going to be going anywhere, but.
And we need you moderators to get your MS people. They all say, yeah, this is great, but they never show up. What's wrong with them? They are a crew, man. They're pieces of work.
Well, and we will do our best, but the MS population, we're an interesting group as far as yeah.
You are. They don't know what they're missing. They'd have an hour of fun, an hour and a half of great fun.
Yes, and conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'm
All
gonna
right.
say
Happy Memorial. Have a happy Memorial Day.
Yep. All right. Stay safe, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
See
you,
ya.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.